On today's video, we are going to be doing all of the prep work for an underdeck patio that the homeowner is going to use to store all of their yard and garden tools. So we're going to show the excavating, laying out the patio using string line and batter boards, the forming, the preparation of the gravel base, including the compacting, laying rebar, putting iso strip between the house and the slab, and then putting everything up on chairs to keep that rebar in the center of the slab. So join us today as we get this project started. Okay, so to begin our excavation, first we had to dig out some gravel that they had under the deck. And we wanted to save that and use that as our first base course. So we put that off to the side. And then we started digging down, which we needed to dig down about 10 inches below what the finish grade was going to be so that we could get roughly 4 to 5 inches of base material and then 4 to 5 inches of concrete. So we were lucky in this situation because we had a dirt pile in the back of the yard to be able to dump all of the excess that we've been digging out, which eventually is going to be used partially for backfilling and then partially for other projects around the yard. So, when you're doing any type of excavating, it's important to make sure that you have your utilities marked. So in this moment here, I knew that the cable line was somewhere over in this area because we did have it marked. And
there it is.
Here we go. We find it. Now that we know where it is, we can put a stake in it. Fortunately, this line is not going to be in the way of where the finished patio is going to be. It gets awfully close, but it's not in the way. If it was there, we'd have to dig the whole thing up and move it, so we got pretty lucky. We start off by marking our finish grade on the house. So this is going to be the top of the patio. Once we have the top of the patio established, we can determine the thickness of our concrete and the thickness of our base that's going to go underneath it. Once we do that, we can establish the corners and the edges of the slab using batter boards and string. The benefit of using batter boards is that it allows you to set up your reference marks outside of where the actual work is taking place. So as the projects get more complex with more moving parts, you can leave these in, do your work, run your strings, take your strings up, do your work, and it allows you to do all that without having to move where your reference points are.
Hey, cut that out.
Now first we're going to set up our outside perimeter along the house. So we'll run the string along the edge of the foundation. Now sometimes your foundation is not exactly set up square, but you don't necessarily want to make a square because then when you step back and look at it, you'll see that the line is not continuous. So we run the first string running continuous off of the house so that when you step back and look at it, that line goes straight from the patio into the house and it doesn't look off.
Hey.
Then we establish a parallel line to that on the other side.
No.
Once our lines are parallel, then we can establish our front edge of the patio.
You silly.
And all these marks and elevations are made on the batter boards, and then we run our strings to show us the outline of what we're working with. Now another thing to note, since we marked our finished elevation of the patio, we want to make sure we have about a 1/4 inch of slope away from the building in order to direct any rainwater or snow so that it doesn't seep down between the foundation and the slab and cause them to heave. So In this case, the patio is 17 inches long. 1/4 inch per foot is going to give us about 4 1/4 inches of slope away from the house. So we use the laser level to set our finished grade and then go from there. Now it's important when you're doing layout to take your time to make sure you get your grades, your elevations, your slopes, and all your points in the right spot. If you have to take extra time to stop and go back, make corrections, make sure you're square, make sure you're parallel, do it now. Because once you show up to pour the concrete or once you start building your forms, finding out your mistakes after that is a lot more costly as the projects get bigger. And that's another reason why you do your layout first with strings and batter boards instead of just carrying out 2x4s, building your forms, measuring them, squaring them, moving them. It saves time in the long run. So here we're squaring our corners using the 3-4-5 method. The 3-4-5 method uses a right triangle, which means that none of the legs are going to be the same size. But if they are in a ratio of 3-4-5, then you can guarantee that it's going to be a 90-degree angle. It doesn't matter whether it's 3-4-5, 6-8-10, as long as the ratio is 3-4-5, that right angle is going to be 90 degrees. Once you have everything established, it's time to start putting in the forms. The best way to do this is to drive in your stakes, then attach your board higher than where the string line is, and then drive the stake down so that the top of your form board is right touching the line. Now that the forms are in, it's time to start working on the gravel base. So when you're building your base, you want to do it in what's called lifts, which is about 1 to 2 inches of material, and then you wet it down, compact it, and then you repeat the process until you have the correct thickness of base material. So in our case, I mentioned earlier, we want about 4 to 5 inches of gravel. So this whole process basically took about 4 to 5, maybe 6 layers of gravel and compaction in order to get our base built up properly. And the thing about this is it's just a lot of manual labor. You put your gravel out, you spread it out with rakes. I like to use a 2x4 to screed it so it's relatively flat, and then run the compactor over it. Using the board for screeding, it helps you get it flatter than just using your eyeball, because once you start running those plate compactors on it, if you have any low spots or high spots, you're going to tell the difference. And just using these screeds, it helps it get flatter. So when you're wetting down this gravel, it's relatively dry when you get it from the quarry. In most cases, it's been sitting out in the sun, so the top level of it is just baked off. It's going to be dry. So you got to wet it down, but you don't want to soak it. Basically, you want to wet it to the point where it'll stick together. If it's too wet, it's not going to stick. It's just going to squish out from underneath. And if it's too dry, same thing's going to happen. So there's like a critical level of moisture that you need to add in so that you can get proper compaction. Fortunately, you get to take a little break while your compactor's running, because it does not go fast. Last thing we do, we put in what's called an isolation strip between the house and the new slab. This isolation strip is exactly what it sounds like. It isolates one piece of concrete from another to allow them to move independently of each other. So in a lot of cases, these would be appropriate in patios. If you have footings or columns coming up out of a floor, they would go around those. Sometimes between a driveway and the city curb. So basically, we put this in so that they can move independently of each other. Now, in these strips, these are made out of foam. There is a perforation along the top, which allows you to tear out about the top half inch once the concrete's in place. You tear that out, and then you'll fill that in with a self-leveling urethane to keep any moisture from intruding. Now, as you see, we got our rebar in here on roughly 2 foot centers. And we're putting these chairs in, these castle chairs, to keep the rebar in the center of the slab. In the next video, we'll be doing the placing and the finishing, so please stay tuned.